Welcome back to Talkville, folks. If you're listening for the first time, well, we're in season, what is it? Season 2. And you need to catch up. It's episode 18. So go back, come back to us when you're ready. But, we're watching every episode. That's what we do. I had to watch both episodes last night, whether I liked it or not. And a lot of times I don't like it. Thank you, Tom. When it's a great episode, I'm glad I watched. And then when it's a bad one, I'm going, oh my God.
Do you have work dreams if you watch it too late at night before you go to bed? Do you have work dreams about Smallville? I do. I can't watch them at night. I have work dreams, and it's like,
I think you said that before.
It drives me nuts. They don't make any sense, but they're work dreams.
It's funny, that joke where a pirate goes into a bar with a steering wheel on his pants, and the bartender says, "Mr. Pirate, do you realize you have a steering wheel in your pants?" He goes, "Yeah, and it's driving me nuts."
Why's it got to be a pirate?
It's driving me nuts.
Wouldn't it be one of those big old-timey boat steering wheels?
Shut up.
We want to get into the weeds?
Look, Larry.
Yeah, but then he wouldn't be able. But then you wouldn't get the voice. It's the pirate.
Exactly,
gives you,
Ryan. How do you not figure that out? I guess Austria isn't Australia. It's funny because I called for some reason before the recording today.
He called me Larry.
I go, we should do this, Larry. He's like, what? I go, fuck, Larry. I don't even know why I called him Larry. I might as well call him Bo.
My son Thompson has this pterodactyl that he's never named. He just calls it pterodactyl. And the other day he goes, "And here comes Derek, the pterodactyl."
Derek Dactyl.
I was like, Derek, the pterodactyl. All right.
When I was a kid, I couldn't say George. I couldn't say Jaws, the movie Jaws. I go, George. Like a shark was George. All right. So you know what we do here, and we're really excited. Again, follow us. If you like the podcast, we urge you, because right now it's our patrons who are really making this possible. If you go to patreon.com/talkville and become a patron, you're really helping the show and keeping it on the air. Our socials, Ryan, what are our socials?
Facebook.com/Talkville Podcast, Twitter.com/Talkville Pod.
Wait, you just fucked that up. It's Talkville Podcast on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
I'm reading it for the first time. I got the podcast open on my phone.
Talkville Pod on the Twitter.
Well, if you go to the podcast app and you go follow the follow us online section, it says twitter.com/. So
see how
you're
simple
not wrong.
it is, folks?
We're both right. It's just easier this way.
I don't disagree.
Okay. There aren't many episodes left in season 2. So if you want your question answered for the remaining few, including Exodus, call in now.
Yeah.
Without further ado, let's get into season 2. Oh, by the way, talkvillepodcast.com. Awesome merch. And we are sold out of the original pieces of art autographed by me and Tom. We only had 55. That was it. You'll never see another one of those. But the artist is going to maybe do another one for us, another print of something that we're working on. And so we'll have another print in maybe a couple of months. So we'll let you know about that. But I hope you enjoyed those. I thought they were really quality pieces.
Can it be that picture in the next episode that your doctor girlfriend has on her desk of Lex? I thought that was a good one. We'll get to that next episode.
Why would he have a headshot of himself on there? Freaking garbage. All right, let's get into season 2, episode 18. This one's called... by the way, before we get into this, this is the 80th anniversary of the inception of Superman comics. And now, when this airs, that's not true.
Yeah.
But as of now, we're saying it, but it will be, weeks before you.
I was at the grocery store yesterday, and someone approached me and told me that. And I had no idea. I'm like, congratulations. That's what I said. I don't know why I said that, but I said congratulations.
All right, season 2, episode 18, Visitor. Boom. Title Visitor, April 15th, 2003. Director Rick Rosenthal, a favorite of mine and Tom's.
He always talks like this. Wow, we want Lex to be likable. It's like you're doing that thing where you're going to shit in your pants. And,
it's, he was always, I love the guy. I had lunch with him a while back, and he still looks like Santa
very
Claus.
lovable.
Very lovable. Writer Philip Levins, guest star Emmanuel Vaugier as Dr. Helen Bryce, and Jer Adrianne Lelliott as Cyrus Krupp. Jer Adrianne Lelliott has transitioned, so
that's just their name.
That's their name, and we'll be referring to he because At that time, it was a he.
The character.
The character, not they.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just hopefully I won't insult people, but I tend to do it anyway. So what are you gonna do? Here we go. Synopsis: Clark investigates a classmate who claims to be an alien and possesses heat vision, suspecting he may be from Krypton. Meanwhile, Helen discovers a locked room in the mansion and demands answers, forcing Lex to reveal his investigation of Clark. I got to talk about that one.
Well, the first thing I was thinking watching this episode is the writers getting this assignment. Write an episode about another kid who Clark then believes is from Krypton. I can just see him being like, yeah, cool, we got this. And turn around being like, you know what I mean? Like, what a pain in the ass to write this episode, to figure this episode out. Like, it's not easy.
You know what?
That's for sure.
I'm going to say this, Tom. I know our producer, Bryce, didn't love it. I don't know how you guys feel, but I really like the idea, since Clark is wondering if he's the only one. He's like, we're just hitting that point in the show where he's like, am I the only one here? And what am I destined to be? And wait a minute, is there another one like me? And so it kind of gives him hope.
And Dr. Swan and Rosetta and all that. Yeah.
And it gives him hope. And there's this protectiveness that he feels towards this kid. And I liked a lot of it. A lot of it was hokey crap. Hokey shit, but some of it was really good, and the ending we'll get into. I loved it. The ending, I was like, holy crap, this is Close Encounter shit. And I watched it on my phone with one eye open with dog shit from the new puppy on the floor. Episode opens in Smallville High Science Lab as Clark and Pete are working on their project. They get interrupted by Cyrus Krupp, a new transfer student who is standoffish. He gets into an argument with some jocks working on their project. They end up throwing his headphones to the ground and playing keep away with his transmitter, all while the teacher is nowhere in sight.
Listen, the kid's also running around pulling people's power cords and not talking to anyone with headphones on.
Yeah, he was a bit of a douche to do that.
Yeah, he's not really making a good impression.
It's like, dude, come on. Yeah. What are you doing, punk? You shouldn't beat a kid up. Cyrus gets pushed down, responds by setting a wall on fire with his mind. You hear that, Ryan? With his mind.
With mind bullets.
With mind bullets.
What I recall about that scene, one, I was impressed about the lab and how intricate and elaborate that lab was with all the stuff. Like, our props department did a fantastic job of that. I was like, oh my God, look at all that stuff. And then I remember trying to figure out what Clark would do if he was faced with a bully, because he knows
he has power. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I remember having to figure that out from a performance standpoint of like how to keep your composure, how to not give away too much. And I think it kind of worked, just being still without being, it also helped that the height helped.
You know what? Sure. I disagree with the direction, Rick. Sorry, just for this moment. You know, when Clark, we'll talk about it, but when he ends up throwing those guys around like rag dolls, he knows how much strength he has. I don't think he would have, unless he was just really in the moment, so I get that. But really, it's like, hey, I could use a quarter of this and still hurt them and make them go away.
I think the Lana thing got him going a little too much.
Yeah. No, I take it back, Rick. You were right. Cyrus gets pushed down. We said that later on the Kent Farm. Clark's visited by Lana on horseback. They talk about how Cyrus is dealing with teenage alienation, and Clark offers to board Lana's horse for her. At Luther Manor, we see Helen Bryce confronting Lex about a tabloid story that reads, "Gold-digging doc bags billionaire Baldy." She's upset that her hard work to become a doctor is being overshadowed by her relationship with Lex. Lex pushes to get her to move in, and she's adamant that she does things on her own time. This annoyed me because I know I would just not be with a woman like that. Like, if you're bitch, you know, I'm in the tabloids. You know, I'm a billionaire. This is going to happen. It's par for the course. You know, when is this? Get out of here. If you don't understand me and you're just going to I'm going to take everything that, you know, I love you. I'm with you. That's what comes with it. Whether you're a man or you're a woman.
Her character takes her confidentiality oath very seriously. So she likes privacy. I think that's maybe what it was butting up against, perhaps. And I think this and the next episode, she kind of relies on that.
I get it, but I don't.
I know.
Clark gets his work interrupted a second time when Chloe shows up to talk about the horse and how it's a ploy for Clark to get more Lana time. Then the two talk about Cyrus and his past claims of being an alien at his previous schools.
Well, wait a minute. This is the torch. What I really liked is the fact that Lex knows about the situation. And it was a surprise that Clark is like, yeah, I just, said, keep the horse in my place. And Lex is like, so did I, but she didn't choose me. I was like, and you can see Clark feeling good about that. I thought that was a nice little moment.
That was really cool. I like that moment. Chloe says knowing an alien would be cool and definitely not freak her out.
Lana says differently later.
Yeah.
She does.
Yeah, no, I know. I always, sometimes Allison has so much dialogue and it's all exposition, which I pity the fool. It's like, oh God, that's hard. That's hard. And sometimes, because I think I knew her and her on the show, but sometimes she'd have so much she could almost feel like she'd go for instance, Clark gets his work interrupted a second time when Chloe was. It's almost like so much that she's like, if she loses her place, she takes this beat and she keeps going. And it's like, it works. And I don't think anybody notices, but I notice it it's not easy. And there's a little blip, and I'm sure you saw that on set, like, oh gosh, this is hard. I'll cut it together.
She was so good though. Like she would always be prepared, but there's moments that it's so hard to talk about stuff that really doesn't matter, but I think that thing that she was able to create between Chloe and Clark carried her through a lot of those moments. Because she was always trying to maybe get to Clark a little bit, to his heart. Mm-hmm. And I think that was a layer she put on it all, which made it very tender. There's a moment earlier where she walks behind Clark. I don't know if you noticed the lingering hand on Clark's back in the torch or not. You guys remember that?
No. Do you remember that, Ryan?
I saw it. She kind of comes around, she puts her hand on his back and it just lingers. That was a bad visual, but yeah.
Lingers like a Cranberry song. I hope this Chloe, Lana, Clark triangle is over, because if not, Chloe will be perceived as the most desperate person on earth. Clark was in a coma practically, and after she read this heartfelt letter, he just goes, Lana. It's like, that should be it. It's like, you know what? This is what's in his mind. It confirms everything that I've ever thought. Let it go. Crazy girl. Crazy Girl is also a script bar in Los Angeles. Clark takes the info and goes to investigate Cyrus. He finds him at a rundown shack full of different wires and cords. Clark tells Cyrus that he's not like other people who want to exploit his powers and is just genuinely curious. So Cyrus agrees to let him inside and show his transmitter device used to communicate with his planet.
It was just the way this adds up, I thought was interesting. And Clark's kind of thinking maybe, like you said, there's hope.
I thought this actor was really good. Jer Adrianne Lelliott. They were good. It just takes you could easily hate this person. Easily, this character. And you feel sorry for him, and especially at the end, I was like, I didn't know. I was like, I'll get to it. I don't want to give it away what I feel. Cyrus shares an eerily similar story to that of Clark's, of how he was rescued by a family after the meteor shower, but instead of growing up under Jonathan and Martha, Cyrus has bounced around foster homes. Back at the Kent farm, Clark meets Jonathan Kent meets his wife in the cellar. We see Martha staring at the spaceship, contemplating the two miracles it has provided them. She is highly concerned about her pregnancy and demands that Helen Bryce treat her throughout her pregnancy. Another good scene between those two. She believes because Helen kept Clark's secret in Fever, the episode, that she will be helpful through the pregnancy, but Jonathan is against it because of Lex. And as the series goes on, we see Clark in the town reading a book on identity crisis. Lex interrupts him, and the two start discussing Cyrus and his claims of being an alien. Talkville is brought to you by BetterHelp. Look, BetterHelp is one of the best sponsors I've ever had on my podcast, Inside of You, on this podcast, Talkville. I think most people don't want to get therapy. The stigma that's put upon us in this society, but I think it's changing. And what's great about this is you don't have to go search for a doctor and go into an office and sit there. You can get it all from home with BetterHelp.
And when you need it, I mean, look what it's done for Ryan.
Yeah. Ryan uses it. So many of my friends use it. It's just something that's a no-brainer. Therapy is so important. And, Tom and I always talk about this, but a lot of times you're like, oh, I don't know what to talk about today. And then you start talking, you feel so much better. You get so much out of your system. We overthink things, you're dealing with your wife and, things happen and you're not in great terms or something. Or you think it's your wife, but it's really you. It's really you.
That's a thing.
It's true, because all of a sudden your therapist will start saying, well, why do you feel that way? And you go, well, because I feel that way because I'm doing this, and you figure it out, and you get the right therapist, and it changes your life. Many are stretched thin and burned out from burning the candle at both ends. I know I am. That's where therapy comes in. Caring, compassionate listeners like those at BetterHelp.com. This totally online source for therapy has helped thousands find peace of mind and direction during these trying times. BetterHelp.com understands we all need to develop better coping skills and ways to set boundaries to empower us to become the best versions of ourselves. Let me recommend BetterHelp.com if you've considered trying therapy. After a brief questionnaire, you'll be matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch at any time, no charge. And this is what I think is important. People are like, what if I don't like my therapist? That's so, especially if you have a therapist, you have to go into their office and this, like, you can change on a dime. You don't like the tone. You don't like, you don't feel comfortable letting things out. Change your therapist. Ryan, our engineer and co-host for Talkville, he has changed therapists. That's just sometimes how it goes. And it's so easy. And BetterHelp is really important. So if you want to take a step in the right direction, I urge you to get therapy.
Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/Talkville today to get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Talkville. I like how Leah Lex tells Clark that no alien would run around telling people they're an alien. Clark goes to leave and Lex brings up the horse. But what were you going to say?
Yeah. Well, I jumped to that earlier. I don't know what human doctors will find out even on a second opinion after being healed by a spaceship. I don't know what Helen would have done differently. So it made me curious.
Yeah, I don't know. Ryan?
It's just because she knows, right? It's just because she knows
there's that
more.
familiarity,
yeah,
and almost like as much trust as she could have for a person, not being a Kent.
Yeah.
Well, but her seeing the abnormal blood work of Clark, from what I don't recall, that she doesn't like figure out that Clark's not human. It's just abnormal, right?
Yeah, and I'm wondering.
It was a little vague, maybe on purpose.
Well, here's what I don't understand. If she's such a, she's a doctor and she's, she cares about medicine and pushing it forward. With science, I don't know why when she sees his blood that she wouldn't say, I have to give this to the people above me to look at. It's just weird that this doctor would keep all this. And eventually when you find out who Helen Bryce is eventually in the series, which I'm not going to say anything. When Clark arrives home from the Talon,
I honestly have no idea.
I do. He sees Lana kneeling with her horse, who has fallen unexpectedly. First Nell, then Whitney, now Tyson the horse. Please, Lana, don't let me die. Not to beat a dead horse, but Lana can't catch a breath this season. Price.
So real quick about the horse scene. It was a real horse in the scene. I remember showing up and we were doing a blocking and the horse was just standing there, and the horse trainer was talking to us about what the horse was going to do. And I'm like, how is this horse going to do this? Don't worry. Literally on action. And he's off camera giving like hand signals, and the horse like rolls over, lays there, does the whole thing. And Kristin and I are just like, all right, we're going to treat this as real a thing. But it was so impressive that the horse could be trained that way. I'd never seen anything like it.
I bet when you guys did your close-ups, the horse wasn't there. No way.
Probably not.
No, because there are all the cameras and dollies moving in, and the horse would get frazzled, and no way. Clark confronts Lana. Tyson shows up, pissed off that Clark told Chloe his secret. By the way, you didn't tell the secret, did you?
Not that I caught. There's a lot of information.
Why
flying
doesn't
around
Clark
these
ever
next
speak
episode.
up like that? Why didn't he say, hey, now's not the time? And by the way, I didn't tell Chloe. I was waiting for that, and he didn't. He didn't say it because I didn't tell Chloe. I swear. Now get out of here. His attention gets diverted to the horse, and we see Cyrus using some sort of healing powers, lighting up Tyson's body and restoring his health. If there were any
this was nuts because I don't think the episode ever resolves how he did this.
This is the biggest problem I have with this episode because because I felt at the end he does have powers.
Yeah.
He is a messiah of some sort.
I mean,
but he's also doing the magic too. So it's like pick a lane. Is he an alien or not?
Chloe's like more David Blaine than whatever. But like he healed that horse, I think. I mean, he put light inside the horse.
He healed the horse and then he healed the jock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on,
those really
writers,
happen.
figure it out. What's going on? Call us, hotline 213-JET-CUTE. If there are any suspicions of Cyrus' powers, they should be gone at this point. The next morning, Kents are having breakfast. Jonathan is skeptical about the voodoo magic. Clark shares his hunch of Cyrus being from Krypton, but Jonathan isn't buying it because Clark doesn't have healing powers. Dr. Swan said Clark was the last survivor, but Clark is hopeful that he is wrong. Inside Luthor Mansion, we see Helen walking the halls. She pulls a set of keys from her pocket and tries to enter a locked door. We then learn that even though Helen has a master key, one room remains off limits.
And then we get to see a security guard that we so often.
Yeah, we never see a security guard. Who are you? Security. Lex doesn't have security. Oh yeah, I know, but today he does. Today, because he does. You're looking in that room, and that's the one room where no one is allowed in, and I can't let you. Here's what upset me. What is she doing, snooping around like that?
I mean, she didn't seem. I would have set it up a little bit more like she's happy she's here. She's found this. This is a beautiful room. What is this room?
Play it like she's happiness. She looks like she has ulterior motives.
She's already sneaky.
And then when when Lex found out about that, her snooping around trying to get in every room, I'd be like, but let me tell you something. Lex is smart. Don't underestimate Lex.
If you were given like a master key to a mysterious place, wouldn't you go to try like open every single door you can, just like skip around and just try to open all the doors?
In the day?
Not
creepily
like day
at night.
There's a lot of doors. Maybe she didn't get to that one till late at night. She probably opened every single other door in the mansion.
Maybe the room is filled with Muppets and movie posters, like mine.
Yeah, but then she goes to a closet. She uses the key to open the door, and there's a master safe, but there's no keyhole. And then she's like, "Oh, I don't get access to that either."
Back at Smallville High, Clark meets up with Chloe inside the torch. Chloe takes the opportunity to set a live fire inside the room to prove to Clark that Cyrus was using magnesium for his fire-starting powers. Clark, hoping he's not alone, doesn't want to believe it. Martha takes a trip to Smallville Hospital to visit Dr. Bryce. Even though her charts read normal, Martha's concerned and wants their visit to remain confidential. Helen is willing to do this, but wants Martha to be completely honest on what's been going on with her family. Later that day, Clark takes a visit to Cyrus's shack, but instead of running into Cyrus, he sees Lex Luthor.
But
just then, we learn about Lex's theory of how the meteor shower in Smallville would be the perfect cover for alien spacecraft to land on Earth, and then he leaves.
Well, and how did Lex, because Clark didn't tell Lex who this kid was.
Lex has always got his eyes
I'm
everywhere.
saying, like, Lex, how did you know about this place?
He's the ears and eyes of this institution known as Smallville.
And you must have talked to Chloe.
Cyrus appears when Lex leaves. Clark questions his fake fire starting, and Cyrus says he only has the power to heal. Then Clark asks him about a nearby drawing of a spaceship that looks just like the one in his cellar.
That was crazy that the spaceship would look exactly the same. That is crazy.
But then we find out at the end, that he watched the ship come down. He saw the ship or something. After thanking Clark for not thinking he's crazy, Cyrus takes Clark to this duct tape built transmission tower that he uses to phone home. He then tells Clark that he needs a transmitter in order to get back home, but unfortunately Principal Reynolds confiscated it. We don't see him, but he did.
Also, how elaborate is that tower?
Oh my gosh. This kid
that's
built it?
It's crazy how they do that.
But how fun for production design to make that, right?
Yeah, they loved it.
or not fun at all.
Or not fun.
Maybe they're like, oh, great.
Clark takes Cyrus to commit a B&E. Breaking and entering.
Breaking and entering.
And the boys grab the transmitter. On their way out, they get cornered by the jocks from earlier in the episode. They make dangerous threats with Canadian accents and force Clark to use heat vision to light up one of their cars. I heard Lana come out with a bag instead of bag. She said bag once. It might have been in the next episode. The bullies leave and Cyrus, yeah, going for a rip there, are you, bud? Fucking A rights we are. Yeah, I'm just wearing my toque right now. You got a loony I could borrow, bud? Going for a ripper? The bully, we love Canadians, come on. Bullies leave and Cyrus realizes that Clark is an alien too. The next day in his loft, Clark shares what happened with Pete, who gives him a lecture on how irresponsible it was to share their secret with someone unstable. Even though a few episodes ago, he was the one sharing Clark's secret, running around on drugs. Pete tells Clark he can test out whether or not Cyrus is an alien by using meteor rock. Clark corrects him by calling it kryptonite.
I found myself, for some reason, I was like, when they're in the loft talking, I'm like, isn't Pete the kind of guy who may have found out some way that Clark could maybe hustle his powers a little bit for financial gain? You know what I mean? Like, he never did. But I was, just hearing him give advice, I was like, maybe he's like, if you super speed over and see, you know, back in time so you can, or forward in time where you can watch a basketball game and then we place a little bet on it. You know, I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah, as a friend, I would want to do that too. I'd say, hey, you know, or, well, he doesn't know he could change time or go back in time at this point.
That's true. We can cut that part.
He could say, hey, there's got to be something we could do that you could use your powers that's not illegal that we could have fun with. Let's go explore. Something like that, yeah. A lot has happened in one night because we learned from Lana that Cyrus's foster parents have contracted CPS to take him away, and he's being admitted at Smallville Medical Center for assessment. Clark breaks him out of the hospital so that Cyrus can return home. Cyrus tells Clark to join him, but Clark says that he already is home, and it's Earth, his home. There are a lot of nice moments here. You know, I started out going, oh, God. I mean, I was like, this is going to be a dud. And it grew on me. I got to tell you, the episode grew on me. I didn't love it, but I ended up going, huh.
It's funny you say that because that's exactly what happened to me. This episode grew on me. And I also noticed when Clark is getting him out of the hospital, that new jacket that Clark is wearing, there's a custom made new version of the red jacket so that it would be lighter and I wouldn't sweat as much when I was wearing it. And this is the first time I've noticed it. And I remember the buttons weren't right. But anyway.
Wow. I never knew that. Back at Luther Manor,
this episode did grow, yeah.
Helen confronts Lex about the locked room and how she can't let it go. Lex tries to brush it off as his own personal quiet space, but she ain't having it and storms out. I've been like, all right, that's it.
Still, by the way, she's still just your girlfriend. You just asked her to move in, right?
Mm-hmm. I did.
Like, come on, there's layers to this relationship stuff, guys.
She's already bitching about everything. A lot of hang-ups. Come on, man. I'm a dude. I have a man cave, okay? That's my room. Go pick your room. Pick out dresses or books or, you know, cool stuff like you like. But I like this stuff, and why can't I have my own room? Now I sound like I'm 12. Why can't I have my own? Later that night, that's why I'm single, by the way. Later that night, inside Clark's loft, he's confronted. He's confronted by Chloe and Pete, who share the real story behind Cyrus. How his family in Smallville was tragically killed in the meteor shower, and he was too young to remember once he was rescued. Ipso facto, Cyrus is not an alien. Back at Cyrus's transmitter tower, which is just awesome. I thought this
He's a really good engineer, is what he is. He's building all this
stuff.
That's
what Ryan was saying. It's like, good Lord. But like, I thought this was beautiful. I was like, this is Close Encounter shit. The lighting, the effects, everything looked like if it was on the day, that scene, I'd be like, wow, this is cool, right?
Yeah.
Stranger Things shit.
Yeah.
I was really impressed by this. Really impressed. This is what kind of gave it the boost from this point on.
It's like homemade science stuff and then with like a climax at the end.
Yeah. I dug it. Cyrus transmitter tower, we see him preparing for his departure when the same jocks, of course, roll up looking for more trouble. Come on, Cyrus. You gonna mess with us now? We're gonna knock down your tower.
Well, it's Canadian, though.
Oh. What are you doing there, huh? Building a tower, you freak? What are you, Thomas Edison there? I don't even know what I'm doing
we're going
now.
to take down your tower.
We're going to take down your tower, you freaking lowlife.
Sorry, we got to take down your tower, eh?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Let me grab my bag.
Sorry.
They attach chains to the tower and plan to use the truck to pull it down. As the tower is about to fall, Clark super speeds in, pulls it back to balance, and catches Cyrus before he falls.
I think they missed a beat here. I think what Clark should have grabbed it. They could have gone to the chain breaking, or right before that, Clark should have shot a little bit more heat vision to snap the chain, and the truck should have like flipped over backwards and rolled down a hill.
It would have killed him.
Well, they had their seatbelts on, just like, you know, Pete and Chloe did when they jumped off that thing.
You know, Lex is so smart. I sit here and, you know, go on and on about, we all know Lex Luthor's a mastermind in that, right? Obviously I'm not, but think about this. If you're so smart and you're looking into all these things that involve Clark Kent, all you have to do is put some distant surveillance cameras around the Kent farm. And shit's going to happen. Or have him followed and videotaped, and no one will ever know. And then go, oh, look at this, rewind this. Oh, wow, he's Superman. Not very smart, Lex.
Well, that bad reporter guy did it for one day and found out. Remember, what's his name? He set up in front of the
found out
farm
in one moment.
in one day.
Yeah. What was his name?
Oh, I don't remember.
Nix. Roger Nix.
Nix, yeah.
You know, also, I'd probably look at Clark and Clark, there's been 26 incidents where you're at a crime scene. You've saved Lana's life 14 times. You saved my life 5 times.
I found you in the middle of the street once.
Yeah, so, you know,
at 3 o'clock
I think
in
it's
the
time you
morning.
lay it down here. All right, I know you're in the caves. You're like all this. It's like, I mean, it's like you got to be an idiot. The next day, we learn that Cyrus has a complete mental breakdown. For what it's worth, Clark's secret is safe once again. Clark speculates that Cyrus saw the ship fall during the meteor shower, and that's how he was able to draw it from memory. Clark questions why Cyrus would pass up his only opportunity to return home to save someone who harmed him.
So what I like about this scene, this is the one in the barn with Martha and Jonathan, right? What I liked about this is Clark does all the talking, and which doesn't happen a lot. And he's being very open. He's being very sensitive. And what I got out of this scene is kind of remembering that John and Annette were just so there for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That just allowed me to do it because they were present and they were there for me. And that was, again, it's one thing you just learn from actors because they weren't forcing anything. They're just very patient, no rush.
They had your back.
This is a big scene for Clark. So
yeah. Back at Luthor Manor, forced to show his hidden room, Lex lets Helen inside a room filled with evidence and artifacts throughout the series of his suspicions of Clark Kent.
Now, is this the door that her key didn't open?
Yep.
So that little door opens up to this big space.
Yeah. I could buy that. That didn't bother me because it looks very unassuming. Including things from the bridge crash, cave drawings, Clark's family tree, his Luthor Corp file. The episode ends in the Kent loft. Lana arrives to talk about Tyson's recovery and admits, unlike Chloe, that she would have been a little freaked out if Cyrus was actually an alien. You know, before that, though...
The whole scene of Lex showing her this lab, I thought that scene should have ended with, like, a passionate kiss. I thought some way they should have gotten to her being, like, just totally into the fact that he's showing her this stuff.
It turns her on.
That would have just been awesome for a moment. And they didn't have to finish on that. But like, I just thought that would have showed like, yes,
bonding.
Like
you know
we're
what?
connecting.
They could have gone at it really hard. And then he looks up and sees that giant picture of Clark's face. Interesting things to note. First time in the series, the name Kryptonite is used. Clark tells Pete the actual name of the meteor rocks being known by this name.
How does he know that? Didn't Swan tell him? Or did he just put it together? How does he know to say that?
I don't know.
I bet I didn't ask that question on the day.
Let's get into it. This is the Hotline. 213 Jet Cute. C-U-T-E. Jet, like a plane. Leave your messages. We appreciate them. Here, we will start with our top tier patrons. They get a video message that will be seen on the show. See what you get when you be a patron? Patreon.com/talkville. And this is, I think Smallville made me say Butts. It just says Butts Tower.
Hey, gents. Butts here. For the episode Visitor, that tower was huge. Was that some camera trickery, or did you guys rob a Radio Shack and then go wild with some crazy glue and welders? Love you, mean it.
I think they took over the windmill tower that we used with Lana and Clark sitting on the top was that last season? They probably took that and just but it's elaborate. It's amazing. We talked about it earlier in this podcast.
Yeah, thanks, Butts. Comic Book Central Joe. Comic Book Central Joe. We did an interview with him. Listen to his podcast.
Hey, gents. Joe Stuber from the Comic Book Central podcast here in Columbus, Ohio. In recent episodes, we've seen right above Tom's Smallville poster 2 prints showcasing the comics that Chloe is reading in the Smallville finale. I know one was turned into an actual comic book, Smallville Season 11, Issue 1, second printing. The other was not. What can you tell us about that artwork, Tom, that you're displaying? I will hang up and listen.
Joe,
Thanks.
You're a nerd. We love you. I don't know, but this is for Tom. So, Tom, do you know?
I don't remember. This is something where we were Michael was telling me I had to improve my background, which now I've digressed or gone backwards on for the time being for other reasons. But it was something I had. I don't remember even the artist. I'd have to go look. But I think they were they TV guide covers? I'm an idiot. I don't know what it is.
I just love that I go, Joe, you're a nerd. Joe's a friend of ours, so we could say that. But I'm a nerd. Look at my room, for God's sakes. Here's Kent. This is Kent in a land known as Smallville.
Hi guys, Kevin from Kennesaw. We see Lex revealing his secret room to Helen. Rosenbaum. Given the contents of Lex's secret room, it's clear his obsession with Clark never subsided. How much of Lex's friendship with Clark is genuine, and how much of his friendship is due to Lex's continued obsession with Clark and his true nature?
Good question. I would say...
I mean, what's Lex waiting for? He's got a whole room dedicated to this guy. You get arrested for those things.
Yeah, he's underage too.
What's he waiting for?
I think that he genuinely likes Clark. He wants to help Clark. But as this friendship kind of goes and goes, he sees that Clark's not telling him a lot of what's going on. And in return, Lex becomes a little suspicious of his friend, and he's curious. It's almost like if you date a girl and she's telling you all these things, but you're hearing some other things, you kind of have to investigate them.
You're still waiting to go through her text messages.
Well, you don't go that far.
You still want to go through her phone at some point.
But like I said, it's an evolution. This is a no name.
In Visitor, we see Tom's height on full display. It completely works in this episode, but did the height difference between the cast make blocking seem challenging? Or over time, were there common tricks by the DPs and directors so Clark looks tall but not overbearing the frame?
Sure. I would stand on a quarter apple box, and I'm kind of tall. I'm 6 feet, but sometimes to make me look more powerful, they'd do a low angle shot looking up, or they'd put what's called an apple box, a quarter of an apple box. You get quarter, half, and then an apple box, so you can get a few extra inches to make you look a little more powerful.
It's a very good question, because specifically she talks about the walking scenes, which are almost more difficult because it's harder to hide. But in like when Clark and Lana are talking in the loft, it's distance and angle, which sort of hides the fact that I'm like 1.5 feet taller than Kristin is.
Yep.
And it works for us. But in the walking scenes with either Lex or especially with Chloe and Pete, I'm much taller than them. And so I had to change my walking pace. They sped up a little. I slowed down a little. That was all very much a consideration.
Wow.
Isn't
Good
Chloe
question.
just like walking in front of you and then like turning and talking to you guys sometimes too?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That seems to happen a lot.
It does.
Huh.
Ray.
Hi, I'm Ray from Northern Indiana. I was wondering, when you guys were filming, how difficult was it for you to get in and out of character between takes? Thanks.
I have a weird thing I do, and you know, I hear that DiCaprio uses it too, where I could be
not to compare yourself to DiCaprio.
No, I'm comparing myself to the way what he does, and I do not want to be in this character at all. So action, I'm in it. Sometimes I need a little more time if it's intense, but I'm in it. The second we say cut, I'm out of it, goofing around, farting. That's how I keep going. Otherwise, if I'm in that guy's head for 7-8 years, I'm in trouble.
For me, I was a little opposite, and not opposite, but different. I had to get better at it because I tried to do what Michael did and it didn't work for me. I got a little better, but I was also so interested in the camera and the lights and what everybody else was doing, where I had to be reminded sometimes, you're here to act right now. So just focus on this, because I would just be into it all. And it probably helped me later when I directed and stuff, but I would kind of just stay, I remember saying to Natalie, our makeup, I was like, I don't need attention. Like, don't come in and just give me attention. Some actors want to be touched up between every take because they want to know that people are doing it. I'm like, I just kind of, space is good for me so I don't get distracted. Anyway. No,
I understand that. And I think I sometimes, you would even say to me, focus. And I'm like, the second I did focus, it'd be, a lot better for me as an actor if I needed to focus, if I focused on something and just focused on that, but my mind works, it's going all over the place. And sometimes you really have to just take a breath and focus on who you are, what character you're playing, what you're saying, who you're talking to, what's the scene, listening, not just saying your lines, but when they say something, everyone reacts to a way that whatever someone says, people react differently. So, you also, one of the things you always said to me is like, if it's not fun, then why are we doing this? And you played a character that never had any fun. Rarely. So I think there was a break for you to jump in and out of him because you need to have fun in order to be there and play this guy who's never having any fun. Yeah, and I had to wear these suits and ties and shoes that hurt my back. And like, it was just everyday suits. And
there's so many people listening to this who are like, do that every day when they go to work.
No, but I don't like wearing suits every day. About 14 hours a day wearing a suit. Like I was like,
it's a job.
I just want to wear a t-shirt. Can't Lex wear a t-shirt and grow stubble? Or can't grow any hair? Anyway, Sophie, our international friend. I love you, Sophie. Hope you got the I Love Tuesdays glass that I sent you for inside of you. You would think the loony bin that these characters keep getting sent to would start to put together all these stories about Clark Kent's secret powers, since every person who learns about them either ends up dead or in the psych ward.
I mean, every single person that gets sent there is like, well, here's the thing about Clark Kent. They're like, all of them. I never thought about that, but like
Rosenbaum rating system for this one. This is a tough one. I'm gonna get Ryan. Ryan, what did you think about this episode? We really haven't talked about that. Besides asking for how many roses or bombs you give it.
Yeah, this one was a little strange because I know they were trying to like connect with Clark because we just established that he's sort of feeling alone in the universe, and then he's sort of like we have this guy who's maybe a friend, maybe another alien, but also just the way like they approach this character is like, oh, this person's not gonna make it through the end of this episode. Like this is kind of it. So it was a lot of weight for a one-off character to pull, which was a little
jarring.
Yeah, because it's a deep subject, and I think it needs. I don't know. I was hoping
it warranted another episode, like a Ryan thing.
Yeah, and I knew they weren't going to do it just based on the way they based on the way they wardrobe this character. It's like, oh, this is a 2000s kid. Like they with the hoodies and like the headphones. It's like this character's not going to make it past this episode. It was like purely on costuming. I could tell.
Yeah, that happens a lot, and I think that changes a little more as we move on in the series. We get out of that, and especially now we've evolved as a entertainment industry where it's serialized. Things don't have to be wrapped up. They leave cliffhangers into the next episode, and we haven't really done that on the show at this point. And I think we start doing it, and the show gets better.
Yeah.
And when you're just wrapping everything up, people expect that, and they're like, "Oh, all right." It's kind of you lose your interest. I want a story, a continued storyline.
But I agree, like with you guys, like it grew on me, like as the character progressed, and it sort of turned into more of a like E.T. Stranger Things situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's funny that we have all these comments because I think it was the middle of season 2. Al would probably know better, but I think it was somewhere in season 2 that Smallville became the highest rated show in the history of the network.
Wow.
Like the WB, like it was already, and here we are being like, yeah, but like they could see the metrics were showing them that things were working.
I know that, but,
you know,
but it doesn't always mean when you're getting numbers that you're doing everything right. It doesn't. Yeah. It doesn't mean something should evolve, and it does. The show does evolve, but I think what happened is, as you know, I talked to Al, you can only do so much because the network, remember, wants a certain thing. They want this. This is what's working. These marketing guys are dictating what everyone else has to do and what they should do instead of like real creatives like Al and Miles. That's what I think. I think when you have like presidents of the network, you know, like Peter Roth. I mean, I'm sure he has some good ideas, but when he's adamant about certain things and you have to do them, it's like, God, let the creatives do it. Let your what's his name, Breaking Bad, do his thing and make it, you know, Vince Gilligan do his thing. And I think it hinders too many cooks in the kitchen, hinders the creator's vision and what they really want to do. And sometimes they might just get, you know, 70% of what they wanted to do with the show. And again, 22 episodes a year. It's not easy. You got to keep going and you're going to get duds. But yeah. What do you give it, Ryan?
I'll give it a 1.
1 rose from Ryan Tellez.
Yeesh.
Same for me. It's a 1.
I think so. I think it's 1 rose. It's a 1 rose for all of us. I'm going to give it 1 rose because I did feel for him at the end. I wanted him to fly away to Krypton and pick up Clark with him. I wanted to believe it. The healing powers, I loved it. I don't want them to have taken that out, but the fact that there was no resolve to it.
Maybe they want to keep it ambiguous for whatever reason.
Like, how did he heal those people? But then they should have done something where there was no light or no effects and let our minds, like all of a sudden the horse is, okay, was it him or did the horse? But when we see these, it was obviously him. But does he just have a meteor freak thing going on?
I don't know. Chloe probably would have said, oh, he had some sort of light source in his hands when he put it on the horse, like a flashlight, and it warmed up the horse and awakened the horse.
Yeah.
Chloe would have had an explanation, but I don't know.
Who knows? All right. Death count. 0 dead in this episode. 1 saved. Cyrus Krupp saves Kyle. Through 18 episodes, season 2, 25 dead, 29 saved. Series 55 dead, 64 saved. Ryan's favorite scene. He's going to write down 3 scenes, and we will guess which one was his favorite of the episode. Ryan, give it to us.
All right. Scene 1, horse healing. Scene 2, the tower.
Which tower scene?
The tower fall, the end.
Okay.
The ending tower. And scene 3, Lex's man cave reveal.
Ooh. It's yeah.
It's either 2 or 3.
Yeah. It's either Lex's thing or the tower fall.
I'm gonna go tower.
Shit, it was cool. I'm gonna go Lex's scene, Lex's room.
I went with tower.
You son of a bitch! See, you bitch
You
about
got my
story arcs ending abruptly. And then I tell you, you see something like the Lex thing, like, oh, he's on to him. This is a moment, a pivotal moment. And Ryan?
I liked it. I mean, we talked about it, like the way it was sort of constructed and lit and just sort of acted and like the whole power
I know,
thing.
I loved it too, but I thought maybe that's what you didn't want it.
I do think that if Lex and the doctor would have gotten a little passionate, maybe a fireplace in there, because Lex likes to do that kind of stuff, that could have changed that scene a little bit. I just think there should have been a little passion.
And then, so Ryan wanted to see Lex have sex, and then he would have,
Yeah, I've been denied that for almost 2 seasons now.
Yeah, me too. That's it for this season, episode. That's it for this episode. Stick around next week as we approach Exodus and talk about season 2, episode 19, Precipice. We have a special guest. Let's take the discussion online. Let us know your thoughts on the episode over on our socials at Talkville Podcast or Talkville Pod. Show your support, please on patreon.com/Talkville. Support the podcast. Keep it going. Without you, we will not do this. And if you want more info like merch from the show, talkvillepodcast.com. Tons of great merch. Also inside of you, online store for my podcast. Tons of Smallville and inside of you stuff. And just in the hotline number 213-JET-CUTE. You can find all that in the description on any of our Twitter handles. And that's it, guys. This was fun. I enjoyed this episode more than I thought. So did Tom. But
I think I enjoyed talking to you guys about it more than I enjoyed it.
Bryce, I want to know what Bryce, put us in the chat. I want to see how many roses or bombs you gave this one. Text us right now. One bomb from Bryce. For now on, we're going to ask Bryce what he thought. So we're going to have 4 people talking now. So Bryce gives it a bomb. He was probably editing and doing all these crazy things with those, and then was like one eye open or something because he's got a baby and a dog and all that shit. All right, guys. Love you. Remember, always hold on to Smallville. We'll see you next time. Tommy, Ryan.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao. All right. We can't forget our top tier patrons. Without you, what are we? Thank you for the support. And here are the top tiers who've been rocking it out. There's so many benefits to being a member. Go to patreon.com/Talkville. Thank you. Spread the word. And here we go. Nikki G. That's it. We have one patron. No. Leanne P. Raj C. So many familiar names. I just love these guys. Janine R. Santiago M. Leah S. Little Lisa. Thomas the Leaf Blower. Sophie M. Betsy D. Abby P. Ray H. Karen Apple M. Danielle B. 99 more. Leilani N. Brett G. Always hold on to Smallville. Estevan G. DJ Kento. Garrett W. Kimberly L. Tom N. Tony V. Rodolfo V. Jason W. Osama A. Lana rhymes with banana W. Nancy D. Hi, Nancy. Brian G. Sarah W. Amanda R. Teddy 127. Michael P. Ryan R. Can't forget Jordan M. or Hillary B. or Ran L. B. How about Christy R.? Karen P., Derek G., Jorel, Richard S., Heather and Greg, Nico P., I made Talkville say butts, Brian H., Eric K., Clark's mom, Kristen B., Takashi B., Takashi M., love you, Takashi, Kevin E., Nanine W., Stephanie K., Darth Achilles, Finky, Mickey is in her era's era, Stephen F., damn, who's that? Jeanette E., Deadvid, General Zod, The Daily Planet goes to 11, Big D, Doug R, Tommy Z, Boston 68, Ken K, Isabel, Corey L, Ivy and Sam, Mr. Home Arcade, Amanda K, Jesse C, Lumberjack, Claire M, D Brown, Joshua W, Alice Be Kind, Please Rewind, Karen Era M, Eldon Supremo, Leslie V, Tatiana S, Robert G, Natalia G, Julie with one eye, Jules, Mick Burtz. Hi, Mick Burtz. Ginger Moose. Christoph S. Katie B. Michelle M. Drew. Brittany S. Marisol P. Veronica Q. Sebastian F. Cheryl H. Nick M. Culpa Vombut Prick Only. Matthew and Lincoln. David G. The Coopers. Alex A. As you know, Tom couldn't be here. He's away in another country. And hope you were okay with me shouting out your name this time. But he'll be back. He'll be back soon enough. Maybe not next week, but the week after. And all will be well. I miss him already. We love you. Thank you for all the support. And we'll keep doing it as long as we can. Thanks to you. See ya.